Hello and welcome to the We Review Stuff podcast, where you guessed it, we review stuff. I'm your host, Brody Fogg. Today with me, I will not be reviewing stuff because I've got a panel of experts with me who will be each reviewing one item to go on the coveted list, the big list. Today with me, I have the immensely talented Anula Viviska. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm feeling excellent after that compliment, though. What a good intro.
Next up, we have the man who is more metal than the iPhone 15 Pro, Alex Horosh. How you doing, Alex?
I'm really good, and I'd like to thank Sydney's tap water for all the little micro medals that are keeping me and the circle pit going.
So also this week, we're missing one Fergus Halliday. I'm assuming that he ate something disgusting for lunch and has been taken out of action. And in his place, we have the wonderful Georgia Dixon from our website, Safewise. How are you, Georgia?
Hello, I'm good. How is everyone?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Feeling so safe.
Thank you. I'm glad you're feeling safe. I hope you're feeling safe, you're feeling wise, you're feeling safe-wise.
I'm feeling pretty safe-wise.
Good.
Safe, warm, Safewise. So this week there will be three new contenders for the list. First up, Anula, what are you bringing today?
Today, I am going to be reviewing the laziest user interface you guys have ever seen.
I love a good UI thrashing. I cannot wait. Georgia, what are you bringing for us?
I will be reviewing my current addiction. I say current, it's been current for the last year. And just the light of my life, Marvel Snap.
Yes, it is a shared addiction amongst friends. I think it's brought us all a lot of happiness, except for
Not
maybe
me.
Anula.
No, it brings me nothing but dismay and separation from the ones that I love.
Alex, what are you reviewing today?
Retro MP3 player that was never sold in Australia.
God, that's exciting.
Mystery.
That is exciting. Alex has been teasing this all week, right?
He's just been dangling the lead. He's
Yeah.
talking
The
about
cord, actually. The literal.
Yeah, literally dangling the cord. He's like, "Oh, I have to go because I have to make sure that I get like this specific charging cord or whatever." I'm just like, "What is this?"
Well, okay. Let's get started. Anula, please, I'm begging you. I cannot wait to hear which app you're going to trash today. Can you please tell us more?
Look, you guys, you may know this app already. I severely doubt that you have experienced the absolute horror of this particular user interface that I'm going to talk about, because I don't think anyone uses it, but I am here to talk about none other but the Twitter killer, Threads. And not just any version of the Threads app, but I'm here to talk about the tablet version of the Threads app. Have you guys seen this thing?
It doesn't really exist, right?
Correct. I'm just going to hold it up for you guys. So
Oh, beautiful.
just to describe it for our listeners, the tablet app for Threads is just the app in mobile size floating in the middle of the screen with a giant black border all around it.
What if you put the iPad into portrait mode?
Yeah, I want to see that.
Is that even worse?
It's not better.
That's horrendous. That reminds me of like when iPads very first came out and nobody had iPad apps. And that's meta.
Exactly. And this is the problem, right? So everyone here knows that Instagram famously does not have a tablet app either, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually reached out to Meta about this because they've kind of been almost like a wish fulfilling when it comes to Threads recently. So people like asked for a web UI. People were asking for like a chronological timeline. And I was like, maybe I could just like put my little wish in and the magical Zuckerberg fairy will be like, actually, yes, sure, you can have a tablet app. But no. The official Meta comment is that they have absolutely no plans to make a tablet app for Threads.
Why do they hate tablets so much? It's the same with Instagram.
I have absolutely no idea. But they, once again, officially told me that instead of using the app on a tablet, what you should do is just open a browser on your tablet and use Threads that way to use the web browser UI. And for a company that is, getting close to $1 trillion company, it is absolutely ridiculous that they wouldn't invest in this.
They're too busy building the metaverse.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and like when you're like put on your Meta Quest free, you'll be able to open up the Threads app and it will just like float there right in front of you, just like that small little box, just on your iPad. but in VR, in the metaverse.
Disgusting.
Oh my God.
I would love to see that. I need to find out who's doing like the new like MetaQuest headsets, because that is what I want to look at. I don't care about anything else in the metaverse. I want to look at the Threads app in the metaverse.
That sounds like a nightmare.
At least the good thing about Threads is that it's not as depressing as being on X.
I think Threads is kind of alienating like a large portion of the X community, which is boomers. Because I don't know about you guys, but every boomer I know has a tablet. It's like their pride and joy. If they can't thread on their tablet, then they're not going to thread.
I mean, have you seen boomers use Instagram on their tablets? They still do it, despite the awful implementation.
That is such a good point. Like, my dad would 100% use that app that you just showed me and wouldn't blink an eye, would not know that there's anything wrong with that, wouldn't,
It's that on its own is absolutely baffling. But once again, it's entirely baffling to me that Meta hasn't done anything about this, and they're not going to do anything about this ever, I don't think. Like, they have been so adamant about not making an Instagram app for tablets that this isn't going to happen, because Instagram and Threads are intrinsically linked. Like, you cannot separate your accounts from one or the other. If they absolutely refuse to do this for Instagram, that has made them hundreds of billions of dollars, then Threads doesn't stand a chance. And we're all just going to have to live with it. We're all just going to have to live with this terrible dystopian tablet app.
Hey, Anula, I'm actually like, I think the most impressive part of this whole story is that you actually got through to Zuck. And I think, based on like recent stories, that one way we could get your tablet app is if we offer to beat the shit out of Mark Zuckerberg in a cage match for the tablet app.
You're probably right, but I don't know about you guys. I do not want to go up against Mark Zuckerberg in a cage match.
Brody, are you volunteering?
But do I want to get beaten up by Mark? Yeah, okay, sure.
It's for a good cause.
I mean, it's if I'm going to get beaten up by anybody, why not? Let it be Zuck.
Like, did you watch the Meta
showcase?
He's really ripped. It's terrifying.
I think he's been going to therapy too. I don't know, because he seems like just slightly more human.
He's changed, man. He's different.
Adula, so the Threads app. That's I mean, you gave it a pretty good thrashing. So I'm not really. I don't think you're going to defend it too hard when it comes to putting it on the list. So I mean, it's possible that maybe a certain $2.50 cheeseburger could maybe not come in last place, but we'll find out. We'll find out later.
You're right. I mostly wanted to review this just to rant about just how much I hate it. It would not be the first time, and it won't be the last time that I rant about this. I will say, though, the main pro that I have for Threads kind of loops back to what we were just saying. Like, it's owned by not Elon Musk. And therefore, as like far as micro blogging platforms go at the moment, I think that it's the most enjoyable and the most useful to actually use. It's a real shame that the tablet UI is hot garbage. But I wouldn't discredit the app itself. Like, I think the app itself, or the platform itself, is great. Especially now that Twitter has entirely gotten rid of headlines. Like, what is the point of being on that app ever again?
So what would you rate the Threads tablet app?
Pretty much, I guess, I would rate the Threads tablet app as threadbare.
Oh,
Amazing.
strong Threadbare. I like that.
Get roasted.
Now, next up, we've got Georgia, and I've got a feeling that Georgia's review is going to be a little more positive.
I think it will be. I'm very passionate. I would say equally as passionate about Marvel Snap as Anula is about how much she hates the tablet app of Threads. But it's positive passion, you know? Like, it has ruined my life. Marvel Snap has ruined my life, but like in a good way.
So, Georgia, do you want to introduce us to Marvel Snap?
Basically, if you aren't familiar, it's a free digital collectible card game made by the same people who made Hearthstone, and basically every card represents like a different Marvel character. You don't have to actually know anything about Marvel to get it. I hate Marvel and I'm still obsessed. All the cards have different abilities, and some of them can like destroy your opponent's cards or give yours like extra power. And each game plays out over 3 locations, which themselves have special abilities. And as I'm talking about it, I'm aware that it sounds very convoluted, but in actual fact, it's a very, very simple game to play and get the hang of.
And it is tearing my family apart.
No, for real. Like, I did not know that this game existed until our work Christmas party in December. And basically, I needed something to do on the train ride home because I left my AirPods at home. So this seemed like a good way to fill the time. And it's just completely destroyed my life. Like, I had no idea that this little mobile app would consume every skerrick of spare time that I had. Like, I played it on holidays, I played it in bed, I played it during work, I played it on my wedding day, and like I will
You got to finish those dailies.
you have to, and like I regale my husband with tales of my Herculean wins and tragic losses daily. He doesn't understand a word, but I just can't stop because Marvel Snap is my husband now.
This is a positive review.
Yes.
Are you sure? Because I think if we rolled it back and we listened to some of that language, it doesn't seem very positive.
It's destroyed me, but like in a good way.
So what actually makes it so addictive?
Honestly, like there are a few things. Probably the best part is that like each game only lasts for like a few minutes, and I think that's the genius of the game. Like it's so short that like just one more is that like constant thing in the back of your head. Like it's yeah, you need to go to bed, but like it's just one game. Like just do one more game. Except you can't.
Is it ever
keep
one
doing
game?
that. It's never one more game. It's like 100 more games. But yeah, it's just very addictive and it's really accessible too. Like I'm not hugely into like deck building games and stuff like that, but this just makes it so easy that I don't know. It's I love it. It's amazing.
I was just going to say, yeah, for somebody as well who's never really been that into deck building games, I think what I find really easy to get into is like the synergy cards and like knowing like what sort of cards work together, like with destroy decks and like specific types of decks is so much easier to understand for me at least, like as a newcomer, than any other deck building game I've ever played. Yeah,
for sure. And like the tutorial that like it makes you do when you download the game the first time, it's like super hand-holdy, but like in a good way. It shows you exactly what you need to like basically win every single game for the first like 30 games that you play. And it really hooks you into this like, shit, I'm really good at this game. Like I can't tell you the amount of times I turned to my husband and I was like, I'm amazing. Like I
am a god.
I am a Marvel Snap god.
I'm gonna jump in here as I guess like the Thanos to your Marvel Snap. That is the only Marvel reference I will be able to give you, by the way. I have to say, like, as we know, I am a known Marvel Snap hater. I am very proud of that, and I will take it to my grave. But you're not doing nothing that you're saying is enticing me to give it a go. Like, how would you, since this is your addiction, this is your life, how would you encourage me as an absolute hater to actually give this a try?
I wouldn't. That's it. I just wouldn't.
Great.
I love Marvel Snap. Don't get me wrong. Like it's great. It's honestly like the most fun I've had in like a mobile game ever. But I don't encourage anyone to do it. Like I just don't do it.
George is an ethical junkie.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I just pitch it to you like this, right? Like, forget the card game, forget Marvel, forget like all of that stuff. Like, don't you just want to gamble sometimes? Don't you just like want to gamble your time and money away?
I mean, sure. Doesn't everyone like to be unstable at times? But there are so many more fun ways for me to like showcase my instability than gambling through a fake game.
But yeah, we should actually touch on the snapping mechanic and the whole gambling aspect, I guess.
Absolutely. So, like, gambling is probably a strong word. Like, you aren't gambling actual money or anything, but basically the way that you proceed in the game and, like, the way you gain levels is by, if you're, like, playing a game and you think, oh, yeah, I've got this one, like, I'm absolutely going to win, you hit that snap button, and then it doubles the stakes. And all the stakes are basically just these cubes that you win.
Imaginary points that mean nothing.
Yes, exactly.
This is 100% the language of addicts. You all know this, right?
I know. I'm realizing that the more I say it.
Like, you're speaking about this in a way that I feel like like my mum, who will never stop smoking, talks about cigarettes.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like somebody like who loves to smoke, but like is completely oblivious to like all of the like downsides. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just makes me feel good.
The thing is, I am aware of the downsides, and there are quite a few with Marvel Snap. Like,
The meta sucks right now.
yeah, even though you can absolutely play it without spending a cent, like, they do a really, really good job of making you feel FOMO if you don't at least get, like, the season pass, which is basically you get a new card every month if you get a season pass, and, like, a bunch of cosmetic things which mean nothing.
Wait, you're paying for this game?
Yes, that's why I don't want anyone to play it. Don't play it.
You're paying for this game?
Yes.
What? Are you all paying for this game?
Well,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Alex got me onto paying for it. I never paid, and then I saw Alex was paying, and I was like, well, that makes me feel less shit about it.
You're
so
all
I'll
making terrible financial decisions.
Do not check Alex's bank account, please.
I would never look there. That is none of my business.
But, like, that's not even the worst part, because, like, the season pass is like $15 a month. Which
What? You're paying $15 a month for an app?
Hey! I do not drink coffee. This is my coffee, okay? This is my
No.
coffee.
This is different. Coffee is tangible. This is helpful throughout the day and within life. What are you paying $15 for?
To support for developers that made the game.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, that is good. We should support developers. Yes, absolutely. I was going to say, I don't think that anything that is Marvel branded needs any additional money. I think they're fine.
Well, I mean, if it's free to play and no one spends any money, then there's no game left. If no one.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I managed to go so long without spending a cent until the Christmas party, which Georgia just described. And yeah, I had a couple of drinks.
Oh, and then Brody bought for season pass, and then I bought for season pass because Brody did.
Yeah,
Oh my God. So listeners, apparently at our Christmas parties, you know how you hear about all these like wild Christmas parties that people have, like, apparently at our Christmas party, the wild thing that you do is sign up for a season pass of a mobile game.
It was a crazy night.
Such judgment in your voice. My goodness. At least we haven't paid for the, like, $100+ bundles that are literally just like...
Before you speak, can you all confirm that none of you have paid?
I have not bought anything other than a season pass.
We all have
neither.
standards.
Okay, that's fine.
The season pass is the limit, but they do sell these bundles that cost, like, I'm not even kidding, in excess of like $100, $120. And all you get in them is, like, not even a new card. It's just a new look of a card that you already have.
I feel like there's a lot to sort of condense there. But Georgia, would you?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
Recap a few pros and cons of your Marvel Snap addiction for us.
Yeah, so pros. Look, it's just something to do. You know, like if I'm like waiting at a doctor's, like, I'm just gonna play a game. Like, it's 3 minutes. It's easy. It's fun.
If you're about to get married, you got a few minutes before you have to walk down the aisle.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something to do. I enjoy it. It's like it's a very well made game. They do a good job of like keeping you hooked, and it's working on me. But the cons are that even though it is free to play, like they really want you to spend that cash, and obviously it worked on us. So
Okay, that's a strong argument, and I feel like Marvel Snap is against Anula's wishes going to end up pretty high on the list.
So Georgia, a rating. What do you rate Marvel Snap?
okay, I rate it 10 out of 10 unwanted pixel variants.
That makes total sense.
Oh well, okay, that's a strong argument. Now we've got one more review left on the list. I think we're all pretty excited to even find out what this thing is. Alex, please, what have you got for us?
Okay, so does everyone remembers the iPod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
vaguely.
Like, we're not monsters, yes.
So, but do you remember when Microsoft tried to make a rival to the iPod?
Zune!
Do you have a Zune?
I have the Zune HD.
No
Oh my
way!
God.
Amazing.
Yeah, no,
Holy
this
shit.
was the final Zune that Microsoft made. Its first touchscreen Zune. You can
Wow. For the listeners at home, Alex, can you describe like the visual, just a little bit of what we're seeing here?
So I guess like the best frame of reference for like the Zune HD, it kind of looks like an iPod Touch. This device came out in 2009, so it's already, the iPhone was already a thing. We were moving on to touchscreens. It predated Windows Phone, like Microsoft's attempt at smartphones, but it kind of, really kind of set Microsoft's trajectory for a few years. Because while this wasn't very successful, it never came to Australia. A lot of its kind of like design elements went on to inform like the Xbox's design, design of Windows Phone. So like it, even like the fun choices were kind of being used in the same way throughout Microsoft's other products. It's a really fascinating little bit of tech history, especially because, okay, like let's go like into a bit of a history lesson. The Zune kind of was already kind of late to the MP3 player battle. The first iPod was 2001. So the first Zune didn't come out until 2006, and it was an ugly brown thing.
Right.
So,
Brown gadgets were not cool in 2006, and it was mocked mercilessly for being a brown MP3 player trying to take on the iPod.
I think that's entirely fair, right? Like, iPods were so beautiful and colorful.
So colourful.
They were so fun, and like they really like not personify, but like they really represented like that. Really, I'm gonna sound like such an old person. They represented being like hip and young.
And again, it's like that's a really good point. And this was the same time that Microsoft was, so Apple was running the "I'm a Mac" and "I'm a PC" kind of campaigns. So you had like Justin Long being the trendy guy, and like you had trendy iPods, and while Apple was painting Microsoft as like the stuffy old guy, like at that same time they're like, what's gonna make us cool and relevant? A brown MP3 player.
Can I ask? I have like 1,000 questions. I'm going to start with one. This you keep saying this was never released in Australia, correct?
Yes.
How do you have one?
I bought this one on eBay in 2019.
Okay, awesome.
Were you actively searching for it?
I was working on a tech history podcast that was not released.
Have you put music on it?
Yes, I have about 5 albums on here.
That's pretty good.
How many can it hold?
I think it's 16. I think it's like 16 gigabytes. But like using Zune HD in 2023 comes with a whole host of problems. For one, you actually need to put albums on it.
Wild.
How?
What a time.
All of my music right now is either like in Spotify or on records, neither of which you can get onto this. This uses a proprietary cable to connect, so you need Microsoft's Zune cable to get this to connect to your computer. They still support, you can still get the Zune app for Windows PCs. And so there used to be Microsoft had an official app for getting music onto your Zune for Mac, but that's been discontinued. I can't find anywhere that actually still has a download of it. So And there used to be a fan app that let you access this with your Mac. But since Apple moved to M1 Silicon, it broke. So I found one app that lets me look at the contents of my Zune in like a file explorer on my Mac, but I can't edit anything.
So what you're saying is this is the most streamlined process ever when it comes to getting music on it.
I mean, it is
So simple.
It was pretty easy back in the day because you just sync it with the Zune app like you did with iTunes. But
Is there any like when it comes to the Zune community, is there anything particularly special about it that Zune fans love, or is it just a quirky piece of tech that's like a bit of a joke?
I mean, I think like there's probably a bit of like the quirkiness to it, and I think like by the time like Zunes got good, like the second generation one, it was actually like a pretty solid MP3 player. Like Microsoft kind of like worked out some of the kinks. It came in colors other than brown. It had a really neat trackpad interface that was kind of like very much a rival to ClickWheel. So I think in a way that like Apple products all like think different. Like buying a Zune actually kind of did embody that, and it was like definitely one of them, like probably the most polished rival to the iPod. Like I use a lot of MP3 players back in the day, like iRiver Clicks, create like Zen Creatives, and they were all like a bit janky. And so, but like the Zune was polished.
Yeah.
And I think like even like the Zune HD that I've got here, like it's a really elegant piece of design for the time. Like it's got like an aluminium back. It's like a really nice like small touchscreen. I think it you could watch videos on this.
I really want to watch Oppenheimer on it.
Yeah, it is the way Christopher Nolan intended.
We should try that. We should try and get Oppenheimer on it.
And so, like, I think the other interesting quirk about using a Zune HD in 2023, headphone jack.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how many of us have wired headphones right now? I mean, I can see Brody and Anula are wearing wired headphones, but
but like for day-to-day use, no, absolutely not.
It's really interesting to look back at that point in history where, at one, like, you still had an MP3 player rather than using your phone. And like just like how different things were. Like, you had to actively load music onto your device. You had to get from somewhere. You had wired headphones. And now it's just like, okay, cool. This is just like the Zunes being subsumed into the iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, MP3. We don't download MP3s from LimeWire anymore because Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal even just exist.
Yeah.
We don't think like all these considerations for, okay, which 16 gigabytes of music do I want on the go? It's like,
yeah, it used to be this thing of like, you had to be really selective, and like there would be time that I would set aside in the week to go and look for new music, download it, chuck it on, I think it was iTunes because I had an iPod. And then I'd be really annoyed because it didn't have the album art. So I would physically go to Google, not to actual Google. I don't know why I said physically. I would go to Google.
That's how you do your image searches. You'd barge in and be like, print these for me immediately.
Give me a photo of a dog. I would. I'd like individually search for album art and then upload it onto iTunes because everything had to be perfect.
Oh yeah, no, I was a real perfectionist about my metadata.
Yeah.
As well. It's just like, when things ripped and like my CDs ripped and like it wasn't accurate for some reason because like Grace Note stuffed up. I was like, no, I need to fix this.
I think if you guys looked at my old computers, you would have an aneurysm.
Me
I would
too,
literally
yeah.
spend 2 full days going through your library and making it perfect because I've done that to myself before.
Did we all at one stage have just like the reject shop, like MP3 player that could fit like 10 songs, or is it just me? I had like,
I
had
absolutely
that
had that too, yeah.
yeah, like I think at one stage I had like a Panic at the Disco album with like I think I managed to fit like one System of a Down song at the end or something like that.
You know what I would absolutely love? I would love if everyone could try and like pull out their old like iPod shuffles or their old MP3s and see what songs you still have on there.
Oh, I found my old iPod mini recently as well. There was a lot of Linkin Park and Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, I think if I found my shuffle, there would be a lot of, it would be Tumblr Girl circa 2014. Or not even 2014, like 2010-ish? Yeah. It would be a time for sure.
Yeah. But again, like I think like just to bring this back to the Zune HD, like it is like interesting how much like we've lost the single purpose gadget.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Like the iPhone 15 Pro now, it's coming for your PlayStation 5. It can play like Assassin's Creed Mirage and Death Stranding. Like what does that mean for like dedicated console hardware in the future?
I think that it's the same as everything, right? Like there's always going to be enthusiasts, like as you've demonstrated from the Zune, that are going to want to keep a hold of those single-use consoles or those single-use appliances. But I think as someone who absolutely hates clutter and hates having things that are single-use, like I love that things are getting more consolidated. I think it opens it up to more people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then you have things like Playdate, like that Ferg reviewed last week, which is like a throwback and a standalone console, but pretty niche. Like, I don't think. I mean, Alex, you've got one too, but not everyone is going out of their way to buy a Playdate.
But like it's interesting that we've kind of got that bespoke throwback device, and like Sony's still making MP3 players now, but they're like hyper focused on like the premium market. Like this is for audiophiles that want to listen to their music in the best quality possible. They're not like mainstream consumer devices. And like in the same way that you mentioned, Brody, like for Playdate's kind of the throwback game console to the Game Boy, and we've seen like the Analog Pocket, and I guess like the Nintendo Switch. It's like a game console that's not trying to be anything else. And to say as like the juxtaposition to the Xbox and the PlayStation 5, where they're also your Netflix boxes and your DVD players. Is someone going to come around and like in 5 years make like a throwback MP3 player that's just going to go wildly off the charts on like Kickstarter or something?
Absolutely.
Like a new Zune?
The Zune 2?
Zune 2.
Yeah. Too Zune. Too soon.
Too Zune for you.
Too Zune, too furious?
Too Zune, too furious.
Yeah. Find it on Kickstarter as soon as this podcast drops.
I'll back it.
To bring it all home, like I think there's like something really charming about using like a dedicated MP3 player in 2023, but it's just the experience is so different to like what day-to-day life is. Like like you have to like think about how to get music on there, like think about what music you want to save on there. It's very considered. You need to think if your headphones will work with it, if they have wires. And like like as a vinyl collector, there's something neat about that considered experience. But I think it's just wild to see how far we've come from like the MP3 era of the Wild West piracy of LimeWire and curating your perfect collection to all of the world's songs being in our phones.
Yeah, truly wild.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm gonna rate this one nostalgia trip out of
one whole nostalgia trip.
Yeah, it's one whole nostalgia trip.
I'm feeling nostalgic for it, and I've never held one in my hands.
Yes,
like you've really taken us on a journey here. Like it makes me want to like pull out old MP3 players.
Let's bring them back.
We should. I feel like the children. Like the children on TikTok will 100% be bringing them back.
Okay, team. So I feel like we've got a few like really, really strong arguments here, and the time has come. We've got to put them on the list. Each week, our reviewers make an argument for their product's position on the list. Now, we don't necessarily have to love that product. We can put the product at the bottom of the list. So this week, we have the Threads tablet app from Anula, Marvel Snap from Georgia, and Alex has brought in the wild card with the Zune HD.
I'd like to specifically say that we're going to be ranking using a Zune HD in 2023. We're going to get deeply specific about this.
So the actual what is up for as a contender is using the Zune HD in 2023. Okay, good to know.
I think the starting question is bottom of the list. Threads versus the $2.50 versus the $2.50 cheeseburger from last week.
Once again, like this is not Threads. This is the tablet app of Threads. I want to make that abundantly clear. And the tablet app of Threads is absolute garbage. It is terrible.
Worse than a cheeseburger, for sure.
It is, yeah, like 100%. 100% it's worse than a cheeseburger. I obviously didn't get to try the cheeseburger from last week, but I'm willing to bet that it was less bad than the Threads tablet app.
Even a bad cheeseburger is pretty good.
This was exactly the argument last week, but still somehow it ended up at the bottom of the list.
Unbelievable. $2.50. Come on.
This is crazy. We have a consensus already. Threads tablet app.
Bottom of the list.
Bottom of the
Yeah,
list.
bottom.
Georgia, now you're up. So you get the concept here. It's your turn to put Marvel Snap on the list. Where do you think it belongs?
Look, this is really hard for me because as much as like Marvel Snap is at the top of my personal list, like in my life, I don't want to encourage people to play it because
Too much
everyone's better off
competition?
without it. No, I can handle it. Trust me, I can handle it. It's everyone's better off without it. So I think I don't want to put it too high because we don't want to encourage people to sink their time and their money and their
It is
energy
very
into
good.
this game. It is very good, but
Yeah, it's so good.
see, this is the trouble though. Like, it is good, but wouldn't we all be better off without it?
Yes.
Never going to stop playing, but my life would be immeasurably better if I did.
It's under the cheeseburger for sure.
No.
You have an addiction. None of you can possibly make this argument because you're entirely battled within your addiction. You cannot see how this is tearing this family apart.
I don't want to put it at 1.
It's not
I'm
one.
thinking 2 or 3.
So do we think it's better than the Playdate and its crank? Yeah, Marvel Snap does not have a crank.
There's no way that it is better than the Playdate.
Not everyone can afford a Playdate.
Yeah.
Everyone can afford a Marvel Snap.
That's
Not
true.
everyone can afford the season pass. That's true.
But regardless, for the sake of society, like, you can't, it cannot possibly be above the Playdate. Like,
What is the
obviously
Playdate doing for society?
I'm backing it.
it's very cute. It looks.
It has a crank. It brought
It has a
cranks
crank.
back.
It's adorable. It's very colorful.
It's so hard to get your hands on.
And there's a dog in it and also a little shark called Jeff, and he's great.
Look, you didn't tell me about Jeff, but I'm not taking that into consideration now. It's too late to tell me about the little shark named Jeff. I can't. That's a whole other conversation. But Marvel Snap, Jeff, number one, clearly. But Marvel Snap is doing less for society than the Playdate. The Playdate is like bringing nostalgia. It is not feeding into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is very
Okay.
important.
I am very like pro being anti-corporation,
Yeah,
pro anti-corporation.
yeah. Like, let's not give Disney any more
So true.
anything.
So I guess the question then is, if it's below the Playdate, is it above the cheeseburger?
Yes.
No.
Jeez.
Marvel, like, look, a cheeseburger is fleeting. Marvel Snap is forever.
It's true.
Remember that.
Marvel Snap has given me a lot, I feel like. Yes, I've spent money.
You also spend money on cheeseburgers, just saying.
Less on cheeseburgers, though, I would assume.
Cumulatively over a lifetime.
Not $2.50 cheeseburgers, though. This is a $2.50 cheeseburger versus an app that you all spend $15 a month on.
Yeah, $2.50 cheeseburger a couple times a week. Bam, $15 a month.
Are you having them a couple times a week?
That's girl math.
Let's bring it home. Let's lock it in. Where are we going to put it? I'm backing.
Brody, I think it's up to
Marvel
you.
Snap.
I think it's up to you.
I agree.
Okay.
I think that Brody actually has to make the call on this because you're an aficionado of both the burger and Marvel Snap. Only you can truly decide.
Here's the thing. I know that the list is the list for a reason. I would put Marvel Snap above the Playdate, but below the cheeseburger. But that's just not where the list is at. So I think I'm gonna have to take one for the team, and I would put Marvel Snap above the cheeseburger, below the Playdate. So that's a position 3.
Good.
Alex, bring it home. You've got the last addition to the list here, the using the HT Zoom in 2023. Where do you think it belongs?
I think it's definitely toward like the lower end of the list. I think it's a fun nostalgic reminder of what we used to do to listen to music on the go. nostalgia isn't always very convenient.
That's true.
It's just like,
So true.
this adorable device comes with a whole heaps of like impracticalities and complications. I need to turn on a Windows PC if I want to get extra songs on there. I need to actually have the MP3s.
Yep.
So yeah, like it's tricky. Like I love what it represents and how we used to be a lot more considered about music. I think we should probably be a bit more considered about music again.
Once again, the question is it better than a cheeseburger?
I'm gonna have to say yes.
Interesting.
Are you kidding?
Using it in 2023 is better than a cheeseburger.
You would rather use the
A specific $2.50 cheeseburger.
Regardless, you would rather use the Zune HD with all of the issues that you just discussed than go to Hungry Jack's and get a $2.50 cheeseburger.
That is a slap in the face.
I mean, like, there is no Hungry Jack's nearby, so it's also equally inconvenient.
There is a $2.50 cheeseburger right in front of you. There is the Zune with nothing on it because it's a pain in the ass to get stuff on it. Which do you choose?
I'm probably the Zune because I could still sell it on eBay for like $200.
But we can't just start putting money on the list, okay?
Capitalism, number one, baby.
Like I'd say I'd put it between the cheeseburger and Marvel Snap.
Still above the cheeseburger. I'm baffled.
No,
I don't
I am
agree.
baffled too.
There's just no way. Like
It's
because
definitely sub cheeseburger.
especially when you're saying like using it in 2023, like that is what you're reviewing here. There's no way that is better than a cheeseburger that is accessible to most people.
And for all the reasons that you yourself described, I think, it's like the Playdate is a good comparison because it is a throwback. It's a piece of nostalgia that is made to work like seamlessly today. You get games downloaded directly to that machine when it's connected to the internet. The Zune is a headache for what?
I guess I've been outvoted. I will remember this.
Look, this was a great argument. Like I feel like all the points were argued really well. Where we've ended up today, the new list, as it stands, is number one. We still have the USB-C of the iPhone 15, specifically. Number two, we have the Playdate. Number three, we have Marvel Snap. Number four, we have the $2.50 barbecue cheeseburger from Hungry Jack's. Number five, we have using the Zune HD in 2023. And at the bottom of the list, this is very funny to me that this is at the very, very bottom of the list, but it is the Threads tablet app. Wow. It is worse than anything we've reviewed so far.
It is just stunning garbage. It's a work of art how bad it is.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining us this week. This has been the We Review Stuff podcast. My name is Brody Fogg. I'm not on any social. You can find me on Reviews.org/au. Subscribe to our newsletter, The Watch List. Alex, where can people find you?
This week you should find me on Threads. I'm at Ahorosh, which is CHOROS. The C is silent.
Anula, are you on any of the socials?
I am on a devastatingly large amount of social media. You can find me at Anulapalooza on all of the things, but I mostly use my TikTok, but you can find me on any of them.
It's a great TikTok. Georgia, as we've already mentioned, you can find Georgia on Safewise for all your safety needs. And Marvel Snap, at Georgia on Marvel Snap.
No, actually, my current name is Nandor De Laurentiis. You can also find me on, pretty much all the things. My username is just Georgia, except the E and the O at the start are R's. So it's like Georgia.
All right, thanks again so much for joining us this week. We'll catch you again next week with hopefully something even worse than the Threads tablet app.
Well, that does us for the week. If you want to try your hand at reviewing stuff, you should review us. A 5-star rating and review goes a long way for a new podcast, and we would really appreciate your support. If you've got something that you'd like us to review, or you just want to let us know what was on your old MP3 player, slide into our DMs on any of the platforms. You'll find links in our show notes. And until next time, this has been We Review Stuff, and that's the stuff.